Todd is not only a remarkable, successful 30-year titan in business with having multiple businesses that generate multiplied millions of dollars.
And if that plan happens to be to build $1 million company, which I can help you do.
But he's humble. He's a man of God. He's a family man. The world's news organizations are built on everything but positivity.
He is an influential entrepreneur and business figure for over 30 years.
I've got to forecast. I've got to pronounce. I've got to project. I've got to share with you my ideas, my vision, my goals for not only myself, but for you.
That's why he's came up with his incredible concept of taking and creating a platform for people that are wired differently.
And you got to understand that your habits of your person and your habits of your business and your habits of your spirituality have to lead to the North Star of who you are. We need to figure out who we want to be in life. Morning, good day, good afternoon, listen, we're doing it again. We do it every day. How do I do it? How do you do it? I want to thank you for following me. I want to thank you for being a part of this morning wake-up show. I get several calls, and I get to talk to people, friends that have become friends through Wired Differently, friends that were friends that followed me through Wired Differently, friends that I've became coaches to, people I've never met in my life, and they're saying, I get around in the morning with you. So for all of you that are getting up right now and getting around in the morning, I just want to thank you. And I know some of you are listening to this show live right now, and you're unwittingly, like you're like captive because your spouse may be listening to the show, right? You may be listening to the show while you're getting around and brushing your teeth and getting all your stuff ready for an amazing day, because I know you're going to have one. But I know there's people behind you in the same room that are saying, oh my goodness, Todd's back on the podcast. What is he going to say today? I've not chose to listen to Todd. I'm just an innocent bystander. Well, for you innocent bystanders, I want you to understand, I love you too. And I know you're learning to love me. So come on, keep on supporting the support and keep on supporting your spouse or your partner, whoever you're listening to this along with, and go along and learn with me. So the other thing I'm going to do is I want to thank you. Look at all the followers. Come on. Thank you. I want to thank you for teaching me. I want to thank you because the discipline that started this show was my discipline to learn more for you, for myself, and the things I do early in the mornings and the afternoons, prepare for the show, all develop me personally, spiritually, and profitably. I'm not going to deny the fact that I am your functional coach. I'm not going to deny the fact that I am maybe one of the only world's pronouncing functional coach, one that wants to build all your body parts. I want to build you spiritually. I want to build you personally, and I want to build you profitably. I think that's my market dominating position. What is your market dominating position? We talk about this stuff in my coaching, but I want you to understand that you are my market dominating position. You are someone I care about. You are the person I want to functionally coach. You are who I'm challenging you today and every morning to actually grow yourself spiritually, personally, and then obviously profitably will come from that. And so we do it all that. So this morning show is always built around touching all three of those points. And I can't really, this week today's Thursday. And I started the series, obviously Monday, on King Solomon, son of David, who was the son of Saul. The first three kings Israel ever had. Amazing leaders, amazing peoples, amazing stories. And so as I wanted to teach on King Solomon, the 7 markers of his success in business, because he is the most storied, successful business man in the world has ever seen, the wealthiest man the world has ever seen, may ever see. He's more wealthy than he was, even more wealthy than the Elon. We've converted it. The Elon is worth $250 billion or something of that nature. We don't know what the Twitter's doing to his balance sheet. But right now, we don't think it's helping his balance sheet. But he still almost doubles Jeff Bezos, the second richest man in the world. Bill Gates, I think, is 4th, and there's some family there. But at the end of the day, King Solomon was the undisputed king of the world. He's made the most money. He's been the most successful. And here's how it all started with King Solomon, just to bring you up to speed, is the fact that God came to him and said, you're going to be king. I want you to understand. You're going to take over David. And he says, but God says, I want to give you one thing. Just ask for, like the genie in the bottle. God says, get one wish. And King Solomon said, well, here's my wish, God. I love your people. Please give me wisdom over all your people. I want wisdom. And God says, okay. I don't think God celebrates the choice as much as he says, yes, we all need to pray for wisdom, so I'm going to give you wisdom. So as I study King Solomon, it comes to me more specifically that it was just a choice, right? He could have said a car. I might have said a car. I might have said uh, a perfect family wife, something like that. I might have said a career. Who knows? At the age he was and I was, I might have, I probably wouldn't have said a business or anything like that. I probably would have said a car. Well, anyways, he's smart enough. He's wise enough to say wisdom. So God gives him wisdom. And so basically at the end of the day, Solomon is celebrated as the wisest man of all time. He's celebrated as the richest man of all time. So what can we learn off him? So the whole story that we're behind the scenes right now is that King Solomon was a bad man. Undisputed, richest, wealthiest. We went through that all the other shows. So I'm not going to drag you through the fact that he would be worth in today's dollars over $3 trillion from what the Google says. I say the Google because I didn't take the time to research the researchers that researched it for the Google. But I did read the Bible and did a quick search on the fact that he inherited 1 million bars of silver, which is worth over don't hold me to this, but 20 billion or something like that now. So I took that right from the Bible. So I did a little research, but I'm not disputing that he's the richest of all time. God said so. So here's where we are. So what can we learn from Solomon? He left us in Ecclesiastes 11 verses 1 through 10. He left us 7 tips to become successful in business, successful in life, right? Business life, because he's a wealthy man, and that's what this is for. So I'm going to go through the remaining 5 of those rather quickly today. I outlined them. I'm going to throw them up on the screen. And then when I get done with that, I'm going to introduce the website of this guy right here. Steve Mellor, amazing dude. He is going to be my guest tomorrow. He was the diver and swim coach at LSU University, and he took several people to the Olympics. He had an individual, I believe his name was Colin Brock, Brock Curry, and he won the gold medal. This guy is an executive coach now. He's an amazing man. I was on his podcast. So we're going to talk about him at the end of this show and pump him up. And I want all of you to come on and listen to him, because not only does he have a very sexy barber and great style, but he's my friend, and it's going to be a great show, and we are going to learn from him. So let's get on without further ado. Hello, thanks for following, everybody. See the comments rolling. Good morning. So here we go. So look, King Solomon was a bad man. He was the son of David. We know David was the second king, the son of Saul, and Saul was the grandfather of King Solomon. So let's just go down through these. Look what I did for you. Wait, let me tip you. Remember, I was challenging you to build something, so I wanted to actually put some photos together for you. I wanted to let you keep up and inspire you with what I'm building. Not only you, I'm building you. I believe like I'm building you. I believe like you're helping build me. But I was showing you yesterday that I brought in lumber, and I'm going to build a structure. We're going to build our minds. We're going to build our hearts, our souls. We're going to build ourselves personally, spiritually, and profitably. And here's an example of me out building. I want you metaphorically to be building something in your life. So follow along. I brought in the lumber. We put in the augers. We put in the foundation. We're building an outside carport, party port, tiki hut. Come on now, somebody. Those go down. Foundation, structure. We see it moving through. It's getting bigger. Now look at here. All of a sudden we can start to see it start to form. We can see this massive. It's gonna park 6 small vehicles and 4 to 5 larger vehicles. You can see the roof, the structure. This is all what is this? Cedar wood planks. The Indian nation has contracted to build this for us, and we're just excited about it. And you can see at nighttime how the structure is coming along. We're building. We drew a plan. We created a plan. Now we're executing the plan because we knew what we wanted. Look at that. Now you can see the length of the structure, how it's growing. Now to the right of that structure right there, it's going to connect to the house. So if you can see the house right over there in the distance, this is all going to actually connect to the house and actually go over the walkway. So I'll be able to walk directly from the house into this tiki hut, party hut. I think I have one more daughter. I got one more daughter that's going to get married, and I'm just don't share it with her, but I really want her to get married at my house. No pressure, Courtney. And this structure is where we're gonna party like it's 1999, and we're gonna go out. So you can see how it's growing. In the daylight, you can see it in the daylight now, right? Where nations are drawn to. It talks about there in Israel. We talk about that. I'm gonna read that scripture to you later today. But here we are, the light. Now in the light, we can see what's happening there. Look at this bad boy. Whoa! This has all happened by last night. So tomorrow I'll be able to hopefully show you it becoming more framed in. And now you can see the structure as it's coming together. I did give you this. Nations will come to your light and kings to the brightness of your dawn. I wanted to just kind of bring that in Isaiah 60, verse 3. That was a scripture I studied this morning. It's not exactly on Solomon, but I did want you to understand that I felt called to share that with you because we saw the building in the light. We see our construction and our mindset and our builds in the light. And we're talking about King Solomon, and I thought it's privy. Let's understand the scripture. Nations will come to your light, right? And kings to the brightness of your dawn. I'm not going to get all this in today, but I'm going to try I'm going to talk fast, and I'm going to love on you. So this basically says nations will come to your light. So the light we saw on the building or the structure that we're talking about there right now, I want you to understand that those that are outside of our belief structure, those that are outside of knowing God, knowing Christ, those that are searching. Matter of fact, I just had an amazing student come to our organization and say that they're open to understanding the functional coaching. And that's part of the reason they were drawn to come to us. So I'm just grateful for hopefully being that light in someone's life so that they can see and study differently in the business profitable world. So nations will come to your light, Todd. Nations will come to your light. All of you. Wow. All of you that are following. Okay. And so when it says, and then the kings to the brightness of your dawn. So the success of your light, right, creates your dawn. And then small k for kings outside of our belief structure will be drawn to our dawn because of our light. All right. And so that's the story right there. And I got more to show you, but right now we got to get on with the lesson. So here we go. So what I wanted to do was break down right here for you the 7 successes of Solomon, the things that he talked about in Ecclesiastes 11 verses 1 through 10. Right? Here they are. Here they are. So let's get it on like Donkey Kong. Number 1, we've already talked about that. You got to give to get, right? You got to get out there. You got to give of yourself to get. Write this down. Number 1, you've got to give to get. And it says in verse 1, Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 1, it says, cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days. Give it, give it, give it. It'll come back, come back, come back. It's number 1 rule by Solomon, most wealthiest man, the most successful businessman to ever walk the planet, the wisest man. And I'm going to get you the lesson of his wisdom and what he learned at the end of all this. And it's going to shock you. It's going to shock you. Number 2, diversify in investments. And it says in verse 2, give a serving of 7, I don't know, maybe 8, for you do not know what evil will be on earth. So it's like diversify. Don't just do one. Just don't go out there and share your grain and ship your grain out to one place. Ship it out to 7 places. Maybe in fact, just don't even just do grain, TV, computer chips, donuts, do all kinds of things in that regard. Diversify. But I would share with this, do not diversify until you do one thing great. Do not bifurcate your mindset or your business model until you're great at it. And then parlay it, diversify. All right. Number 3, Don't worry about what you can't change. Number 3, don't worry about what you change. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes 11, verse 3, if the clouds are full of rain, they empty themselves upon the earth. And if a tree falls to the south or north, there it shall lie, right? Don't worry about what you can't change. The tree falls to the north or south, you can't change it, right? If the clouds are full of rain, it's going to fall on us, right? So we have to adapt and move, adapt and move, adapt and move. We have to not worry about the things we can't change. I'm dealing with several business decisions right now in real estate and acquisitions, and the people I'm dealing with are going to be who they're going to be. I can't change how they are. I have to adapt and move and let them be who they're going to be and shape my moves from what I have to work with. Your inventory is what you have to work with. I'm your business coach. I want to be your coach, and I want to help you build your own fortunes, right? What you perceive your fortunes. I want to help you build your fortune from what you have, right? We can't change what we can't change. Solomon knew this. He pivoted, he moved, he adapted. The trees were in the way. They fell. It wasn't his doing. Get on down the road. Rain clouds are coming. We got to move over here. We got to find shelter. Get on down the road. I cannot malign, provocate. I cannot cry. I cannot suck my thumb. I cannot do anything about the things I can't change. The Serenity Prayer says that, right? Give me the ability to change, to understand what I don't understand, not to worry about. I don't got it all right there. But the bottom line is we can't change what we can't change. We have to move forward. And Solomon knew that. Number 3, right? Number 3. Number 4. Here's one of my favorite ones King Solomon taught me. He says, do it now. Do it now. Right here. Do it now. He who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap, right? So like if we just sit around and we talk about doing it, I mean, you know those people, right? Man, we're going to do this. Man, it's going to be so great. We're going to crush it. Right? I can't wait to get to this. Is going to be so awesome. Oh man, I've been planning this. And here's my favorite. I've been writing a book for 10 years. I'm not picking on anybody, but I'm like, listen, dude, you've been writing a book for 10 years, or you've been planning on writing a book 10 years. Listen, that is like the number one thing I hear from people in the field is, yeah, I'm going to write a book. Yeah, I started a book. Yeah, I've been writing a book. So here's the thing. King Solomon says, man, do it now, right? He who observes the winds will sow, not sow. He who regards the clouds will not reap. Like, so if we're just looking at it and worrying about it and not making decisions because of circumstances around us. I'm thinking about some of my own business right now. I'm like, God, listen to your own medicine here. I mean, why are you apprehensive? Do it now. I have a mentor. His name is Del Torr McNeil. Brilliant man, Hall of Famer. Brilliant man. Got me into this industry. I love him to death. I miss him. Actually, he's just amazing. He's on TV now. He's doing a lot of great things. He calls me every now and then. We talk, we chat. But at the end of the day, one of the things he taught me in my lessons when I was being coached by him was done is better than perfect every time. Right? So I need to challenge you right now. Done is better than perfect every time. Now, that's not what Solomon said in those words. But Del Toro said it in those words, and I think they're precisely what King Solomon was saying. Maybe Del Toro studied King Solomon. Christian man. Amazing dude. Do it now. He who observes the wind will not sow. He who regards the clouds will not reap. If you're not going to sow and you're not going to reap, what are you doing? What's going on? Why are we even in this? Why'd you hire me to coach you? Why do you go along with this? Why do you not show up to the lessons? Why do you not watch all the class curriculum? Why do you not do your homework? I mean, what's going on? Do it now. Why do you say, I want something, I want something, I want something, I wish something, I wish something, I wish something. Oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And you never do it. Like, come on. Now, I need to challenge you. Come on, get up this morning. Right today, we need to think about do it now. What is it that you've been waiting on, apprehensive about, procrastinating asking, I don't know, pick one thing today and do it today. Do it now. I don't care if it's paint the house. I don't care if it's buy the car. I don't care if it's change the tires. I don't care if it's call the person that's upset with you or someone you need to ask for forgiveness from, or you need to call somebody out on something. I don't know what it is, but do it now. Take action today. One thing today. Do it now. Number 5, you never know until you try. Number 5. So he says in verse 5 and 6, as you do not know what is the way of the wind or how the bones grow in the womb, so you don't know the works of God who makes everything. Dude, you're talking about babies growing in a womb. Now, I guess we know now how bones are growing in the womb because we have x-rays and all kinds of great technology. But back then in King Solomon's day, he couldn't see the x-ray machine, didn't need to see it. And do we really know how the bones are actually growing in the womb, even though we have x-rays now? I don't think we really do, technically. So you never know until you try. And so what he's telling us there is do it now, number 4. But number 5, he's reminding us that, listen, if you're still apprehensive after me telling you to do it now, I need you to understand that you'll never know if it'll work or won't work, if you'll be successful or not successful, if you'll be loved or not loved, maligned or not maligned, whatever your problem is, you're never going to know the truth until you try. And isn't the truth what we're after? I mean, at the end of the day, the truth is really what we're after. Am I good enough? Am I not good enough? Doesn't matter if I'm not good enough. Shift, adapt, move on to something else. But it matters that you try. It matters that you won't know unless you try. Number 5. Now, a lot of you are jumping on right now. I just want to let you know we're going through Solomon, King Solomon of the third king in Israel. Amazing man, the wisest, wealthiest man ever. And he gave us 7 teaching points, markers in his wisdom and in his world of success and business. And he gave them to us. And we're on number 5 right now. And we're moving through those 22 minutes into the show. Dang, it goes fast. I remember when I first started these, I was so stressed out, man. I was like, oh, God. Can I go 30 minutes? Can I give wisdom 30 minutes? Can I hold your attention 30 minutes? Are people going to literally think and learn from me spiritually, personally, and profitably? Number 6, remember God's judgment, right? So here's the deal. The first 5 are taught on quite often, verses 1 through 6. But we don't generally get into 6 points, marker 6 and marker 7, because they go into verses all the way through 10. And I wanted to teach on those today because these are bonus. Remember God's judgment. So in verse 7, he says, the light, let me get my mark. Let me get over here. So the light, the light is sweet and it's pleasant for the eyes to behold the sun. But if a man lives many years, rejoice in them, yet remember darkness, right? Thrive in the light because it's sweet and it's pleasant for the eyes to behold the sun. But if a man lives many years, rejoice in them all, yet remember darkness. So what he's saying is this starts to, so you got to remember Ecclesiastes was wrote basically at the end of his life. He asked for wisdom. God gave him wisdom. He acquired the world. He acquired wealth. We remember now, he married 700 wives. We know it's not a good idea. I don't know why I have to laugh about that. It's just not a good idea. My wife would stab 699 other wives. I just don't get it, right? Let alone did he not only have 699 other wives, he had 300 concubines. God was against the concubines, and he wasn't actually, from what I can tell, completely against the 700 wives of the idea of multiple wives, but he was against the wives that were not of the Jewish nation or the Israel nation, right? And so Solomon went against his wishes there. He went against God's wishes to buy horses and chariots from Egypt, right? And these were all God's wisdom markers or requests of God. But I think Solomon felt that he was wise enough to move around and tempt God and live a life in the face of God. And he does tell us in Ecclesiastes that he is pushing God. He's trying to learn if he can live without God's love. So this really is a study of the wisest man challenging what is important in life, wisdom versus God's love. And so we know he lived almost 100 years, pushing back, pushing back, pushing back. 700 wives, 300 concubines, chariots, and horses, right? And now we see it start to unfold here in the business model where the spiritual model comes into play. One, he says, so you go out and he says, you got to give to get, number one, business principle, number one. Number two, diversity in your investments, business principle, number two. And number three, don't worry about what you can't change. Business principle, number three. Listen, I'm teaching Steve, I'm teaching Stephen, I'm teaching Deb, I'm teaching Brandon, I'm teaching Mark, I'm teaching all these people, these things. These are all right down business 101, right? Number four, do it now. Quit waiting. Don't procrastinate, right? I can't talk. But don't procrastinate. Learn the word procrastinate. Don't procrastinate. Number five, you never know until you do it. Come on, let's get out there. Great wisdom from Solomon. But now he gets a little deep. All these principles, these six, I'm teaching, I'm preaching, I'm learning with you, but Solomon was a bad man. He didn't do it right, you guys. He prayed for wisdom, got wisdom. He got all the things he could ever wish for. God gave him what he wished for, but God's ultimate lesson to King Solomon was that wisdom is not even enough. You know, of all the things, not only a car could he have asked for, he could have asked for God's unforgiving, unwavering love and mercy for him in his life. He didn't ask for that. He asked for wisdom. If all the things he could have asked for was just the God to love him, right? Or something more singularly focused on God, but he asked for wisdom. And so I think God was happy with the request. He was glad he knew what he wanted, but at the end of the day, he gave him what he wanted. And all of a sudden, he turns wisdom into 700 wives, 300 concubines, hundreds, thousands of chariots, and thousands of horses, streets laced in gold, houses made out of the most expensive trees God ever created, right? Cedar everywhere, lined this entire kingdom. And so here's the thing. He died a wealthy man, but a broken man, because now we know why, because he's starting to dig into it right now in verse number 6, number 7.6. Remember God's judgment. So do all these things, get all these things in the world. God will help you. He will help you. He's teaching you. But at the end of the day, I got to read you something in Ecclesiastes that what Solomon says in the very beginning of Ecclesiastes, not at the end, at the beginning. He takes the end of his life, starts Ecclesiastes, and tells at the end of life what he learned from all this in chapter 1. But right now he opens up to us in chapter 11. He says, remember God's judgment. The good stuff's good. The life's life. Live it while you can, but don't forget the darkness, because that's where you're going if you don't do this right. He's basically saying, I'm cut to the chase, is that God's love, God's adoration, your relationship with God is even more important than wisdom. Number 7, at the end, verse 10, he says, number 7, success is sweet, but success is short. He lived almost 100 years, and he's calling that short, because our life is but a hand's breadth, right? Our life is but a hand's breadth. It says it right in the Bible. It's a vapor. It's a flash. All the wealth, all the riches, all the wisdom, going down in history as the richest man in the world. Wow, cool. Thousands of years later. Going down still in the history as the wisest man in the world. Wow, good moniker. But your legacy was a torn kingdom. Your legacy was a broken man. Your legacy was scattered children all over the continent and world of different women and problems. Remember we were talking about King Solomon couldn't even eat his own food out of his refrigerator because his kids were putting their name on all his food. Oh, wait, that was me, right? Chaos, utter chaos. Wisdom wasn't the answer, is what King Solomon was trying to say at the end of the study of King Solomon. Verse 10 and number 7 says, success is sweet, but success is short. And this is what it says in Ecclesiastes. Remove sorrow from your heart, put away from your flesh, for youth and childhood is vanity. Right? So, youth and childhood is vanity. That's like my entire existence. In God's eye, I'm still a child. In God's eye, I am youthful, right? Eternity is like, I guess, old, like Eternity is forever. So we need to be playing the long game. I'm here to teach you the short game. I'm here to teach you the long game in the short game world, right? But I think we have to get our priorities straight. And so I wanted to close today real quick with this. Man, I can't believe it. I got to pull up Steve real quick. Glad I got a commercial in for him. But Ecclesiastes 1, I really want you to listen to me. I know I'm going to go over. I have no choice. We're going to do this in 2 minutes. Please leave me. Please don't leave me because this is important. I'm going to pull this together. Very important. I'm going to read you one. We got the 7 principles from King Solomon on how to build your business, how to build your life and your success. And the last 2 were reflecting on really what happened to him in his life. But when he wrote Ecclesiastes, he started off in chapter 1, verse 1. I'm going to read this from the New International Version, the NIV. After all of his studies, after all of what he learned, after all of this wisdom, I think God duped him the wisest man in the world, not because of the wisdom he showed in his lifetime, but I think he duped him the wisest and richest man in the world because of what he left us in Ecclesiastes as a message to us going forward in our lives. Almost 100 years of pushing back and loving God, loving others, idol worship of other gods. We learned that he followed several sexual fantasies and pursuits, strong drink of wine and alcohol, builder of many projects. That's why we're kind of picking on my project out there, builder, knowledge of the sciences, and pursued politics. I mean, he did everything is what the Bible's saying, and he actually did it almost against God's wishes in many, many times to see how important God's love really is. So he concludes in chapter 1, Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 1, and he says this: the words of the teacher, son of David, which is him. He's now the teacher and the son of David. He's calling himself a teacher, right? He's not calling himself a king. He's calling himself a teacher. And then he says, I am also the son of David, one of the most successful warrior-led kings, brilliant man. I love my dad. He was so smart. I got to call him out. Maybe I wasn't so wise all the time, but I'm wise now. And this is what I'm going to share with you. Now also king of Jerusalem. He says, verse 2, Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 1, concluding everything he's learned before he dies, he says, meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher. Utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. So he's saying at the end of his life, all this wisdom was meaningless. This is what I'm teaching you today. Like, even the wisdom that Solomon had, even the wisdom I'm teaching you, even the wisdom you're gleaning from other coaches and teachers and all your other Instagram, social media, all these people throwing stuff at you, bombing you with all this knowledge that they're copying from somebody else and not following or not checking or whatever it may be. I'm not picking on all of them and just letting you know the world is out there and it's attacking you. Whatever you get is vanity, vanity, utterly vanity, meaningless, meaninglessly, utterly meaningless. Verse 10 in chapter 11 says, remove the sorrow from your heart, put away from your flesh, for your childless is vanity. Success is sweet, but success is short. It's all short. Vanity is short. Life is short. And it says in the book in Hebrew, vanity is for the word vapor, but a vapor, right? And so I want you to understand that the things that Solomon was teaching us on how to run his life, how to make all this money, and I'm going to teach you how to do all that. I want to do that. But I want you to understand that it's fleeting and it's vanity. It's meaningless if and only if you don't put God first. Hard talk this morning, Todd. How can you say that? Because that's what I'm doing. Because Solomon goes on to say meaningless, meaningless, utterly meaningless. He says in verse 3, what do people gain from all their labors at which they toil under the sun? Generations come and generations go, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun sets and hurries back to where it rises, right? Regardless of your wisdom, Todd, the wind blows to the south and turns to the north. Round and round it goes, and ever returning on its course. All streams flow into the sea, Todd, regardless of your wisdom, Todd. Yet the sea is never full. Come on now, somebody think about that. Not too hard. It might hurt your head that the place the streams come from, there they return again. All things are wearisome. More than one can say. The eye never has had enough seeing, nor, think about that. The eye's never had enough seeing, nor the ear is a feeling of hearing. I get that, man. I'm dealing with it right now. I'm thinking of somebody right now. What has been will be again. What is done will be done again. It's all been done. You're not the first coach, God. You're not the first one to say these things. Come on now. You're not that special. Is there anything of which one can say, look, this is something new? Solomon's saying this thousands of years ago, and you're trying to tell me you're doing something new in more years and times have passed. People, ideas. It was here already long ago. It was here before our time. Listen, verse 11, no one remembers the former generations, and even those yet to come will not be remembered by those who follow me. This seems doom and gloom, but here's what he's trying to say is that you're not that big a deal. All the wisdom I gave you, Solomon, all the wisdom Solomon realized he regarded himself as, he's on his deathbed and he's dying, and he's like, I'm not that big a deal. This wisdom, I may not have earned my way into the kingdom for eternity. I may have blown it. The Old Testament is interesting in that regard. Wisdom is meaningless. Verse 12, I, the teacher, was king over Israel. I applied my mind to study and explore by wisdom all that is done under the heavens. What a heavenly burden God has laid on mankind. I have seen all the things that there are done under the sun, all of them in meaningless and chasing after the wind. What is crooked cannot be straight. What is lacking cannot be counted. I said to myself, I look, have I increased in wisdom. More than anyone who has ruled over Jerusalem before me, I've experienced most wisdom now. Then I applied myself to the understanding of wisdom and also of madness and folly. But I learned that this too is a chasing after the wind. For with much wisdom comes much sorrow. The more knowledge, the more grief. So here's what Solomon's saying. We're wrapping it up this morning is that, man, wisdom's not enough. He learned it the hard way. Died an extremely wealthy man, but broken. The wisest man in the world died a broken man because wise men and wisdom was not enough. The challenge here is that he wants us to direct our faith, our love, our adoration, our respect, our lasers on God. And then God will bless our personal growth. Then God will bless our business growth. You can't choose wisdom first like Solomon did. That's the lesson. Let's wrap this up. This man is an amazing man. We're going to talk to him tomorrow. His name is Steve Mellor. He's going to talk to us about what he does. He's going to talk about coaching Olympic prodigies. He's going to talk about being executive coach. He's going to talk about doing some things with us wired differently. You are going to love this guy. He's an amazing dude. So let's get it on like Donkey Kong. Let's rip potato chip. Thanks for hanging out with me. Man, so many of you stayed on for this lesson. Probably one of the most important lessons I've ever given. Because it wasn't mine. It was God's. And it was King Solomon's. And now it's yours. Hey, think about Tiki Hut, November 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. Just send us a message. Send me something on this comment section. Send me something. Abby will call you. We'll find a way to help get you there if you want to come so I can grow you personally, spiritually, and profitably. It's going to be a big time, great time. Special people are going to be there. I'm going to be teaching. I'm going to be loving. I'm going to be sharing. We're going to be on islands. We're going to be on beaches. We're going to be at tiki huts. You're going to come to my house. You're going to hang out with me and my wife, and you're going to be on the waterfront. I'm looking at the yacht. I'm looking at the pool. It's a beautiful, it's kind of cloudy today, but I want you here with me. God bless you. You can do it. Have a great day. I love you. I love you.